Humans have long found war to be visually compelling. What does combat look like and feel like are age-old questions that can't be answered in a history book, but have to be seen and experienced oneself. Civil War soldiers called it seeing the elephant, witnessing two groups of heavily armed men line up and kill each other. And the resulting carnage itself has long enjoyed sensationalist appeal. As the Harvard philosopher and psychologist William James said at the beginning of the early 20th century, the horror makes the thrill. The entertainment value of war is utterly commonplace in American culture today. Video during the early 1990s Gulf War put us on the tip of a so-called smart bomb hitting its target. Over a decade later, the Iraq War certainly offered its own visual highlights. Watching an Apache helicopter attack a ground target through night vision goggles elicited a lot of oohs and ahs. And the shock and awe air campaign that started the United States invasion of Iraq produced a spectacular light show over Baghdad. But my book on the U.S. Marines and the optics of combat in the Iraq War goes well beyond the CNN or Fox effect of watching war on your TV screen or cell phone. My research focused on that key decade between the Gulf War and the September 11th, 2001 attacks. The 1990s saw the digital revolution in full force, transforming interpersonal relations through social media, yes, but also further empowering the world's sole military superpower through digital communications, satellite global positioning, laser-guided munitions, and a host of related technologies. Gulf War smart bombs turned out not to be that smart. We know that now. It was different in the Iraq War, though. While not infallible, targeting, communication, and surveillance systems were far more accurate and lethal by the early 21st century. U.S. military optics achieved an omniscience in warfighting. If a U.S. shooter could see a target, that target was dead or destroyed. To see is to kill. Light it up. A leading term in military doctrine and political science for expeditionary warfare, force projection is adapted in my book to examine the visual culture of battle and specifically to analyze two optical dynamics of American war. First, military power and killing force flowed from technologies of seeing, the capacity to shine light on an object, and with that, to destroy it. Light it up. This common Marine command in Iraq enunciates the coterminous nature of perception and destruction. From night vision goggles to the thermal sight of an Abrams tank, from the Falcon View tactical imaging system to the cameras of a Predator drone, vision-based information technology, extensions of the human eye, determined the Marine Corps' killing power and the American war effort overall. Second, projection of force goes to the outlook of the Marines themselves in what I describe as a culturally constructed eye for battle, shaped by the institutional imperatives of the Corps, its history, traditions, myths, training doctrine, language, and organization, and sharpened by a myriad of early 21st century war pornographies, from hyper-masculinist cable TV programming to first-person shooter combat video games, and to YouTube videos aggrandizing face-to-face killing in battle. This book argues that in wartime, this particular way of seeing is itself a projection of force, shining a type of light through Marines on the ground in Iraq. Its ultimate projection has been physical force and violence against the objects of that sight. My study advances then a quite literal meaning of force projection, American military power is predicated on the imaging of violence, the transformation of seeing as primary mode of human perception to seeing as military targeting, and the acting out of killing and destroying, representations of which have already played before the infantry's eyes.